Hello, so last video I showed you guys this redstone clock, and I said it was the fastest clock in the game, and it is. It is the fastest clock in the game. It's as fast as it can possibly be. Why are there so many bats? I have no idea. So yes, this is the fastest redstone clock in the game, and I said it was 80 signals a second, but it's actually close to 10. Actually, I think it's exactly 10 if your game isn't lagging. And we'll get to that. We'll get to how I found that out. And also, the entire point of this video is to show you guys these compacted versions of this machine. I got it down to a few, not 9x9, 3x3 designs, so 9 blocks in total. And I'll show you guys that in this video. So, let's get on with it. So, as you guys know, if you have seen my last video, this is the machine. It's very fast. You link up a fence gate to it, makes a lot of noise. And you can't really close it. And it started raining. Great, just as I start. So, one thing that came to my attention is that if I remove these two modules, and I just get the signal from this one module, it's just as fast. And the reason why, sorry, let me turn this off. The reason why is because two modules is already too fast for the game. It's already too fast. It's already the fastest clock, just with two modules. So, I thought to myself, okay, so we don't really need these two pistons. We can, like, remove half of the equation, remove half of the machine, make it much smaller. So, this is an iron tower. That just means it's not compacted. Gold means a little bit compacted. Diamond means really compacted. This is just a really junky test world, as you can see. I tried things with more observers, see if I can make it faster, but as we discussed, it's already as fast as possible. So, I came up with this design. So, how this design works is it's very simple. It's not very simple. So you pull this lever and it activates this piston, which this observer gets the input, and then this observer also gets the input, puts it into this piston, which pushes under this observer, which gets the signal. And then this goes through here and then around, and it works. But it's really, there's nothing special about it. There's nothing better about this than the other designs or anything like that. This is still a pretty big design. See, this design here is 4x3x3, which is 36 blocks, if my math is correct. That's the total area of this. This one is 3x3x3, which is 27. So it is much smaller, but it's not quite as small as I want it to be. So let's go to the next design. Oh, and just to make sure, show you guys it does work. So when I was making these designs, I actually came across some designs that just didn't work. I think this is one of them. There's a few other ones around here. But basically, they were just as fast, but they were sort of weird. If you hooked it up to a note block, it sounded a lot less like it was holding the note and like it was just playing triplets. So that was kind of weird. So I had to discard all of those ones, and I don't know why they didn't work. They all seem to make sense. They seem to use the same logic, but it just wouldn't sound like the note block is being held, and that's basically the only use of this machine, is for note blocks to be held, because it doesn't work for anything other than note blocks and fence gates, and of course trapdoors and stuff. Yeah, so I discard all of those. Anyways, let's get into these designs. So this design here, again, same premise, 2 pistons instead of 4, and yeah, it works very similarly. You can see the entire design right here. I brought it down to 3x2 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yeah, it's still not quite as... It's 24 blocks instead of 27. So you can see the gold tower is bigger. That just means it's slightly more compact. Yeah, I got it to 27 blocks. It wasn't that insane, but let's go to the next design. Okay, so now we have this design. And I'm not going to show you guys how to make the first few designs because, again, it's not as compact. It's not as good. So there's really no point. There's no... unique pros and cons and the other ones. Now this one's unique because I use fence gates instead of pistons. Now with these designs, if you replace the pistons with fence gates, they wouldn't work. But the way this one works, fence gates do work. So yes, I use fence gates and it works. You can see. Yeah, it doesn't seem, I don't think it might not be as fast. This might actually be a fail, but it is a lot smaller. It's only 12 blocks, which is twice as small as that one over there, or almost twice. No, exactly twice as small. So yeah, it's not bad at all. So this is where I started using a lot of observers, and I don't know why, but I got this to work I don't know how. You can see, yeah, it's actually, I think these two are the same speed. And, yeah, this actually might be the same speed as all the other ones. I'm getting kind of carried away. Yeah, there's not much to say. This is a pretty small design. I'm not going to tell you to make it. But the next ones, I definitely will show you guys how to make it. And so we enter Emerald Land. I finally found a way, after a few, no, maybe an hour or so. I finally found a way to make one that's entirely flat. So this one, it's worth showing you guys how to make. It's actually very simple. You can see right here. That was a very weird voice crack. We can see right here, though. That's off. It's off screen. It's very simple. As you can see, it's 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 10 blocks. So it's a little bit smaller than that one. Or, I mean, that one. It's a little bit smaller than that one. 2 blocks smaller than that one, to be precise. But it's completely flat. That's why it deserves an emerald tower. So, yeah, you could put this. You could slide this under a 1-block gap. And that's very useful. So, see here, it works. And I'm actually going to say how this one works, because we're in the emerald section. So when you pull this lever, it unactivates this fence gate, which sends a signal to this observer, which then sends a signal to this block, which then activates this, sends a signal to both of these observers, and you can see how it works. This one goes into here, this one goes into here again, this one also goes into here. It does a lot of things, so I don't know. I didn't exactly say how it works. All you gotta know is how to make it. There you go. Alright, so we have exited flatland, and we're now at not flatland. So this one works pretty similarly. They all work very similarly. But yeah, it's just 2 fence gates. And they basically... So, okay, so this one I did something different. Instead of having the 2 fence gates that are off, like they're a very fast clock, but they're just slightly off from each other. This one, I decided I'm going to take this fence gate, take the clock from this fence gate, feed it into this clock to just go ahead and make this fence gate the fastest fence gate, and then use an observer to detect it. You can also use redstone dust here. So as you can see, works. And it's not as noisy because there's only 1 fence gate that's actually doing stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that made any sense, but here you go. This is the design. You can pause it here. Right there. You can pause it here. Here. You get the point. Yeah. So this next design is a lot smaller. It's 2 by 2 by 3. So that's only 12 blocks. Wait, hold on. That's not any smaller. Okay, so this clock right here does the same thing as this one over here, where it only uses 1 fence gate and then feeds it into the fence gate, the other fence gate, to go ahead and make that fence gate the fastest fence gate. Basically, it turns the 2 clocks and then feeds it all into 1 clock, instead of taking the signals from both clocks into 1 redstone signal. You can also replace this with a redstone dust, and it works. Yep. Now, I should probably say this, but you can actually replace all the trapdoors with redstone dust, just in case you don't want it to be noisy or anything. Although I do assume if you're using this clock, it's going to be noisy. We have entered the 3 by 3 lands. All of these clocks are 3 by 3, minus the lever you put in other places that are outside of the 3 by 3 area. So, rip. But yeah, I did try coming up with a 3 by 3 design that has 1 space for the lever, but I just couldn't. It's the smallest possible. So, all of these have its pros and cons. Like, this one's very simple. It takes barely any resources. It's very easy to understand. This one right here, or like this one, has a lot of different places that you can take the redstone line out of. This one, of course, is like all blocks and stuff. So there's a lot of good things you can do with each of these. All right, so let's go into this one. You can see how I make it. It's very simple. So let's just go through it. This fence gate gets unactivated, triggers this observer, activates this, unactivates this, which then triggers this again, but also triggers it via this observer, which is 1 tick off. So that feeds it into this block, which also feeds it into here. And then it basically just takes this clock, makes it twice as fast, and puts it on this clock. Okay, and this one, this design, very, very similar. You can see it's actually it's almost reversed, but not really. Yeah, so it takes this, puts it over here, activates this redstone dust, puts it over here, but also puts it over here. Now the good thing about this side, you can replace this with redstone dust, and you can actually, instead of putting the lever here, you can feed it directly into the machine, and then directly out. So you don't have to have redstone going like curling through the machine and stuff. You can just put it from one side and then straight out the other side. It's actually it's probably very easy to work with. And yeah, let's go to the next one. This is where it starts getting really simple and cost like no resources. This can be a fence gate, by the way. Doesn't matter. So you activate this, and as you can see, it works. Now, any of them work. Doesn't matter which one. So if you're trying to make a machine where it's like you're trying to feed it into a bunch of note blocks or a bunch of fence gates for some reason, you could use this. But actually, there's a better option for that exact kind of thing, which would be this clock. This clock is very simple. It's actually just, you've probably seen this clock before. It's actually just that, but with a little extra redstone line right at the edge. 3x3, it might not look like it at first, but yes, it is. The 3x3 clock, you put the lever. Actually, I think the lever only works on certain areas. Yeah, the lever only works here. Here. No, that's not right. So it only works here, here, here. I think that's it. Might be wrong. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. So you can only put levers or put inputs into these three areas, but the output can go on any of these redstone lines. So boom, just like that. This is the very most basic. This is the easiest, costs the least amount of resources. All you need is 2 observers and some redstone. Okay, so there is one little thing, is that if you're on a server, now this isn't very laggy, but what I will say is that when you turn this quote-unquote off, the observers still do a thing. It doesn't actually send any pulses. As you can see, it's the sound of just me clicking it. It doesn't actually send any pulses, but it is for some reason still using a clock. And actually, no, it's not actually a clock. So I don't know why this is happening. I'm sure some of you guys have some reasoning. This might just be a visual glitch, or I have no idea why this is happening. Maybe, maybe this is actually a clock that's twice as fast, and it's actually too fast for note blocks. Who knows? Who knows? I'll never know. But yeah, for some reason it still goes even if you're turning it off. So yeah, so if you're in a server, you might not want to have a billion of these, because even if you turn it off, it'll still be on, or something like that for some weird reason. Okay, so now we're going to get on to how I found out, the speed. So I said it was 80 per second. That's not right, and the reason I know is because, as we determined, just having half of these modules is already too fast for the game, and it's actually already the fastest clock. So I thought it would be multiplied by 4, because one of these modules is around 10 per second. Or at least I thought it was, and it actually is. It's about 8, actually. One of these modules is about 8 per second, and that means that these two together, you think is be 16, and these two together, like all of them combined, you just think, oh yeah, it's gotta be 32 per second, right? And I actually thought it was 40. That's what I estimated, and then I did times 2 for... I actually have no idea. Basically, what I did for the test, I feeded it into a fence gate, and then clicked it a ridiculous amount of times until it seemed like it was synced. That doesn't work. That's not how it works. Anyways, yeah, so you can't actually have a clock that's faster than 10 a second. That's actually the fastest possible clock. So I did not lie. It is the fastest possible clock. This right here, this 9x9 thing with 2 observers, it is the fastest clock in the game, but it's not quite 80 signals a second. I mean, it's equal to 80 signals a second in the game's eyes, but it's not. It's only 10. So basically what I did is I did this, and I clicked at 10 clicks per second. I tried getting as close as possible, and I learned from my mistakes. On my CPS meter, I thought it wasn't working because I was using an auto clicker. No, it wasn't working because the clicks per second thing only shows right or left clicks, and I was right clicking, so it didn't actually work. But as you can see here, it's canceling out pretty well. Right? And I'm at 10 clicks per second. So what I thought was canceling out before was just me going super quickly, that it does cancel out, but it was overkill. So of course this is 10 a second, and if you did it 8 times the amount, it would still give me the same effect. So I had an auto clicker at 80 clicks per second. It would still give me the same effect as if I had it at 10 clicks per second. And I just couldn't tell, so I was like, oh, it must be 80 clicks. No, it's just 10. But the test was slightly fluked. I mean, the test itself wasn't fluked. It was just me dumb braino, small brain. Yeah, so that's the clock. These are the compacted designs. You can pause the video and look at all these designs. I still have no idea why my super flat world was producing bats. Somebody please tell me this is going to slowly devour me. And yeah, thanks for watching. This has been I don't know. I don't have an outro. Bye.